Welcome back into another Dragon Ball Super Card Game video. Today I wanted to go through the ban lists, my predictions, and what I think is going to be touched, if not anything at all, after you see that title. But I already know this topic has kind of been beaten down on the horse, but I wanted to get it out the way since people keep asking me and messaging me and things like that. But personally, too long didn't watch. I don't think there's too many things that are going to be hit, but I want to go through all the stuff that people have been talking about and why I think they are or may have not gotten on the list or may not get on the list, whatever it may be. Also, definitely subscribe if you're new. Still have this good percentage in my face or on my face that aren't, and as well as thank you for the reception as far as the shorts that I did, or the short that I did as far as yellow. And that was kind of like the thing that that was like my opinion of yellow, and as well as the ban list. That was my way of saying it, but a lot of views, a lot of engagement on that. I do plan to do a lot more of those. I do have a good amount of ideas, but if you do have more ideas and stuff that you want to see, please let me know in the comments below. And please go ahead and follow me on TikTok, because that's where all of them are going to be housed and uploaded, because I'm probably not going to upload too many on here. And before I begin, basically what I'm going to be doing is going through the potential candidates for the ban list, whether it's going to be limited, errata, whatever it may be, and then my picks and the reasoning for them. And before we do anything, like I said, I think there's not going to be that much going on in this ban list, simply because, like, one, it's a pretty open format. I think it is right to say that like 5 to 7 decks can win a given event if the person really tried and put the time in and had a right sideboard for it. We are kind of in that Nats format, which is what, 2, 3, 4 months, or 3 months almost, going into February, and we don't really have that many events and not much data, so we're going off worlds, which doesn't really count because it's very concentrated with the 6 to 8 players that would get invited for that. And then we also have Nats, which is mainly NA Nationals, and then all of the other ones around the world, which again, that's one event, and one event with that ban list that was dropped beforehand. So it's kind of hard to say that a lot of things would be on the ban list, or at least it's kind of easy to say in my opinion. And also I think Bandai has done a pretty good job for the previous ban list. So, I mean, this is the result that we have. All right, let's talk about the potential candidates. So, so most of these things, you know, have been talked through the community and as well as just in general. And again, I don't think there's going to be too many. But going down the list, things like robotic riposte, power Super Saiyan, slug, and cooler are all the ones, and again, of course, poutine, but all of those on the top row are pretty much all of the cards that make yellow pretty strong. And the thing about yellow is that it has a pretty wide card pool that don't allow the other cards, or the colors, I should say, really thrive, right? And I think every color is slowly getting that identity of what they want to do and what's strong in them, but yellow sort of does kind of everything. A good example of that is the 1-drop Bergamo that I think another person or someone on our team said that should have been a Bardock's Crude card that is aggressive, and I don't think there's too many aggressive cards in yellow. It's supposed to be a control color that rests down everything, but that Bergamo replaces itself, and then it becomes a 19k dual attacker pretty much for free and for no reason other than tapping down cards, which is what yellow wants to do. That is the only thing that kind of ties things to yellow, but that, along with power Super Saiyan that replaces itself and draws a card and taps down something, robotic riposte, which is probably the best floodgate that yellow has at the moment, simply because that Flying Nimbus kind of got power crept. Forbidden Power, even then, is sort of like very situational, very meta dependent, and probably not going to be played as much, and things like that. I think robotic riposte is probably the best option for it, and I don't think that's going to get touched, but it's a very big possibility. The reason why I don't think it's going to get touched is because it does have answers, because the effect is within its auto. You can answer it with any kind of the counter plays. You would just have to incorporate with that within your deck. You can also counter it, which again, cooler and as well as ape, I don't think should be touched because they're super expensive, and because they're expensive, I think they're okay. And then of course there's Koitsukai, in which robotic riposte kind of, you get punished just for playing the card. I will say the new Zamasu, because of the wish or the coercion, makes this active pretty much turn 1. So you have a floodgate that pretty much says no, you're probably not going to be attacking this turn. Let me go ahead and go back to my turn so I can do some stuff. That's the only thing I can really think of for him. I said it in a previous ban list, or at least prediction for it, but I think I'm okay with him staying around. Poutine is free, and now because it's free, and yes, it does have unique, but it does have barrier, and because of those two things along with slug, those are probably the things that I would say is probably to be hit. You know, some people say Poutine is not that bad, but now with the new Trunks and Vegeta leader, with the new Trunks 3-drop that has barrier and blocker, mind you, this is even easier to stay on the field along with slug. So now you have Poutine that rests things that are like the boss monsters, like the Super Saiyan 3 4-drop Gogeta that you pay for, that is, or the new Goku that has deflect in red, taps it down and just nullifies the entire effect. Same thing for the Trunks, but Trunks is the only thing that's first played. So I think Poutine is a little overtuned because it is free and it has barrier. If they errata it to something like Demigod Leader or just ban it outright, I can understand. But right now, I'm like whatever about it. For Super Saiyan, I already kind of said it. It's free, it replaces itself, and it's kind of hard to get around. I would say wait until I talk about it in the next section here. Same thing with slug, and I already talked about cooler. So thwarting, again, I'm talking about in the other section as far as my thoughts. I can understand why people think that this should be or should not be. The should be is you're facing a 25k double striking 1 energy body, and unless you're playing Frieza or Demigod and Frieza counterplay turn 1, you're not going to be stopping this. You're not going to be comboing out of it. And I would love to see someone in the comments just let me know what is the equivalent of Gogeta thwarting that you can play on turn 1 pretty consistently, by the way, with Xeno Trunks and Xeno Gogeta. Please let me know in the comments below. What is a 25k double striker for 1 that you can play turn 1 and remove something? Let me know and I will take it off my list. Boost Routed had a whole conversation, argument, whatever you want to call it, with George Espira on in our team talks last week. And I think Fu is fine. I don't like the auto, but I wouldn't like the auto if it was like 4 energy or less, right? Because you're getting to 6 and because you need Overwhelm, I think it's okay. I think it is a card that says, I want to end the game and I'm going to play this to do that. I don't think Dex and as well as game should go over 6, 7, 8 energy. There's no reason for that. There's a reason why the time procedures changed, so we don't have those the ties and as well as the tiebreakers to deal with. Who really helps with that? Same thing with turning the tide. There's that is my opinions on both. Now Broly Unison and Rebrian. Broly Unison wasn't really an issue so much as it was a really good card. I think this coupled with Rebrian and as well as the Bora, which is in the next section, are the candidates, or the real culprits for being banned. I don't think the Unison's gonna be banned. I could see it being only restricted to mono green leaders. Brings me to Cell Surge, and Cell Surge wasn't an issue when Eggman went undefeated in Swiss when it came to the Vegas regional, right? It has all of its own tools, and Surge Cell, by the way, is supposed to be for a green yellow multicolored deck. It's not supposed to be mono green. It's not supposed to be hand destruction altogether, in my opinion. It's supposed to have a little bit of creativity in what it does and focus on multicolored green yellow. But the issue is that when it comes to all of the mono green colored cards like Rebrian, Rosie, well, technically not Rosie, anything that requires a specified cost of green, basically, you really don't see any yellow cards in Cell Surge, which is kind of the issue. You know, you're making a Surge deck that has multicolors of green and yellow, and you really don't have any yellow cards. And I think that really speaks to, you know, we designed this leader and now it's being used for this. Maybe we should change that design a little bit. I don't know what they could do to Cell Surge, but they can touch some of the hand destruction stuff that makes it really unfun and uninteractive. Higher Dragon is the epitome, both Higher Dragon as well as Gogeta are the epitome of what the color wants to do. So yellow draws a lot of cards. Yes, that's kind of the issue that I have with Higher Dragon. But the thing about yellow right now is because of the card pool. Everybody's throwing things just like how blue and Soul Striker in the other video that I talked about. They're throwing all the yellow good stuff into the best leader that they could be. So Yellow Broly was the one before, then it got errated, and then Mega Frieza got banned, and now we have Icarus and probably another yellow leader that I'm forgetting about. And honestly, that's one of the things to think about. It is the card pool, it is the card draw that Higher Dragon offers, and it's just hard to get around. There's not that many decks that can really keep up with that hand size outside of maybe Soul Striker that Higher Dragon can do or can put out. I think if they address anything with Higher Dragon, that's probably what it's gonna be. And with Super Saiyan Gogeta, or yeah, I guess Super Saiyan Gogeta, they don't have SS on Gogeta that I'm looking at now. I think for that, there's a lot of RNG in Gogeta, and I think that's kind of why it doesn't really win events consistently, or can win events consistently. I think the new Trunks is a little bit better because you consistently draw 2 cards on both sides and don't even need to attack, and you're not dealing with the top 5 mill in which you're gonna be getting RNG and gonna be getting a lot of issues with. So when you think about all of the stuff with Gogeta Xeno, you're really gonna be hitting the engine and not so much the leader, because we're only gonna see the same thing with the new Trunks. Wraps up for the potential candidates. As far as for me, banning things, nothing. Smile. I think there's not really too much to ban. I mean, I'm really looking at the card pool and I'm like, something that is like too crazy. I think the crazy cards really restrict you to an archetype or is higher cost, which is what I prefer when it comes to like a really good card. So I mean, I don't think that's really what the case is. I think where we have the opportunity to do is peg down yellow a little bit. So anything that we're eliminating or anything we're banning, I think yellow should be addressed, so that way it can come down to the level of all of the other decks, which set 16 is helping pretty much every color but green, which is not very surprising. And green is also restricted to hand destruction, and I think the best thing to do is to address the Dark Broly Unison or Deborah. Now the thing for me for these first 2 cards is Slug is one of the least interactive cards that I know of, and it just feels bad to see it on field. Like as soon as you see it in rest mode that has another barrier card like Poutine or the new Trunks or whatever it may be, like the 1-drop Chi-Chi, I think it has barrier as well. In yellow, you really just do not like the game, and that's my opinion. Like I am looking at it, I'm like, I would love to draw cards and get my engine going and do things, and Slug says no to that. I understand that it has a reprint, I understand that it hasn't been an issue, but I think it does need to be addressed, or at least thought about, because when you have Poutine, which if you take away Poutine, maybe that would be the case, I don't know. If you have Poutine along with the Trunks, along with it, whatever barrier card plus Slug, it is so frustrating to deal with, and yellow is one of the colors not to give this card to. I don't know why it's in yellow instead of green, because green makes more sense. You're a Slug card and you're not in green, and you say no to drawing cards or adding cards from their deck to their hand. So like I do not understand this card at all. I don't know why it was printed for this. If it was only for the Slug leader, I can understand. Or if it was limited to 1, I can understand that as well, because as soon as you get rid of it, you don't have to worry about it again, because I don't think it can be recurred. So that's my thought process on that. And then Power of the Super Saiyan, same thing. I think this should be like a 1 or 2 of, just knock it down a peg. Seeing it every single turn, I know you can't activate it for the remainder of the turn, but seeing every single turn does not feel good. And then the Deborah is because the Dark Broly Unison, again, isn't inherently, you know, the issue. Well, it wasn't inherently the issue. I think when you couple it with the criticals with the Goku, which got banned, and then the Frieza, which is still around, along with the Frieza engine, and then the Dark Demon God Deborah, where you can't interact with it. You literally can't interact. You have to play Ritual Hand Deborah to draw 2 and pay that energy, so that way you replace whatever you're pitching for this, or you just pitch for the card. Plus you add that with Rebran, and then you add that with the leader factor Cell Surge or whatever green deck that you have, and then it just feels bad. So again, fun interactive. This is going to be one of the cards to look at. Next up is the Errata. So I'm on the board for mono green for Rebran, so only mono green leaders. They'll tie it to green leaders and force people to explore the green leaders if you want to do hand destruction a little bit more. I'm sure Cell Surge will be still around for whatever it may be. It still has this entirely old whole engine, which can get support, by the way. I don't know why people are saying Cell Surge is only restricted to hand destruction, but it still has its own engine, and green yellow has a lot, has a good amount of Android / green yellow cards that you can explore. And then Higher Dragon, again, I think the thing to Errata is probably to pitch one first before your draw, so that way you're playing the skill list that you pitch and kind of replaces itself. You basically see a new card instead of seeing an additional card, plus you get to still use the activate battle on either turn. So I think that's going to knock it down a peg, along with whatever they do for yellow. I think that's going to be a good thing, at least in my opinion. And then we also have Gogeta. The last thing I would do for Errata is just make it 3 energy. Just make sure that you can only use it for 3 or more energy. I understand there's been a bunch of reprints. I understand a whole deck or leader, Trunks is the deck or the engine to have. I understand that Trunks just got released. You got a bunch of reprints for Gogeta as well, and I don't really care. I think if you're talking about a healthier format, or at least something that again will kind of level out the balance for things, I think thwarting is going to be playable, just answerable, and you can always just play another one. Like I really don't see the issue here. And lastly, hashtag freecell. So there's no reason why cell should be on the limit list at this point. Come on, just let us play it at 4. Let us get counterplayed. Let us get whatevered. And just let us just do it, man. You already put in a lot of 17s and 18s in your deck. It's just whatever, at this point. Come on, Mandai, work with me here. The Young Invaders, I am there. I am on board as far as unerrata Young Invaders, but the thing is that I still want the energy requirement for playing something the auto to play something on their field. There is not another, again, this is the thing when you're thinking about balancing a game and keeping it balanced, there's not another free play uninteractive burn effect. Yes, you get the draw, but you crit a life when you play the Young Invaders. And I think that is a thing to think about when it comes to, again, balancing these games. The add up to 1 from your life to your hand, that shouldn't have a cost. There's no reason for that to have a cost. And then lastly, Heartfelt Plea. So again, if you want to help red get into the format a little bit more, which will in turn help against yellow, and as well as most likely green, black, maybe. I think yellow and black are probably the colors to go against when you're talking about red and its matchups. But Heartfelt Plea with Dark Brotherly gone, and only a handful of cards that actually do the effect for this, and is also answerable. Like Trunks hits it, the Frieza hits it, even though you have to do the offering. Those type of things. I feel like Heartfelt can go back to a playset, or maybe even 2. Semi-limit would be great, so that way people can actually play it. The one of doesn't feel that great. If you do slug to 1, it's searchable. this I don't think is all that well. I guess it's a yellow saying. I guess it is. Either way, let me know what you think in the comments below. What your ban list guesses are, and as well as your thoughts on mine. I will see you in the next one.